Welcome to the Papyrus Global TV Nigerian News Update, bringing you the latest national developments from across the country. I am Christiana Babayo, and these are the stories driving conversation on Tuesday, February 17, 2026. Tonight's program will focus on key national developments shaping security, the economy, governance, and national solidarity. On today's bulletin, here are our top headlines. U.S. military personnel arrive to support Nigerian forces. Inflation eases ahead of central bank policy meeting. National Assembly reconvenes amid public protest and electoral debate. Muslim communities prepare for Ramadan crescent sighting. Stay with us as we unpack these stories in depth, bringing context and clarity to each development. About 100 additional U.S. military personnel have arrived in Nigeria, with equipment and advisors set to support the Nigerian Armed Forces in their ongoing counter-insurgency efforts. According to defense sources, this deployment is designed to enhance training, intelligence sharing, and tactical coordination, but U.S. forces will remain in an advisory role, with all operational command retained by Nigerian authorities. This marks an escalation of cooperation between Nigeria and the United States, following recent assistance including air support and earlier troop deployments focused on tackling Islamist insurgents across the northern and central regions. Security experts say the partnership aims to counter persistent threats from groups such as Boko Haram, Islamic State West Africa Province ISWAP, and other violent factions that have affected millions of Nigerians for nearly 2 decades. While the U.S. assistance have received mixed reactions, with some critics citing issues around civilian protection and sovereignty, government officials insist that this collaboration is rooted in mutual interest and national security needs. In economic news today, the National Bureau of Statistics reports that Nigeria's headline inflation rate slowed to 15.10% in January 2026, down slightly from 15.15% in December 2025. The slowdown, a continuation of a multi-month easing trend, is attributed largely to moderation in food price increases and some stabilization in core price pressures. This data arrives ahead of the first Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the year, where policymakers are expected to consider adjustments to interest rates and other tools to balance inflation with economic growth. Analysts say the slight decline could signal cautious optimism for consumers and businesses alike, but note that broader structural challenges, including logistics and currency volatility, still pose risks for sustained price stability. Our third story takes to the nation's capital, where the National Assembly reconvened on Monday following public protest and legislative debate over electoral reforms. Protesters gathered outside the legislative complex to urge lawmakers to mandate full real-time electronic transmission of election results, arguing it is essential to ensure transparency and eliminate manipulation. The confrontation underscores broader public concern about the integrity of Nigeria's electoral processes ahead of 2027 general elections, with civil society groups calling for stronger reforms in the current Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Inside the Assembly, lawmakers are preparing for further sessions on Tuesday to deliberate key elements of the bill, including the timeline for result publication and how technology may be deployed for future polls. This story reflects a growing demand for accountability and modernization in the way elections are conducted, a priority issue for many Nigerians as political mobilization increases across the country. In cultural and faith news, the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs has announced the commencement of the search for the Ramadan crescent, which could mark the beginning of the holy month of fasting. Muslims nationwide are urged to observe the skies after sunset on Tuesday, February 17th. If sighted, the first day of Ramadan, the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, will be declared for February 18th, otherwise it will begin February 19th. The Council also acknowledged ongoing challenges faced by Muslim communities and called for unity and resilience in the face of societal tensions. This announcement sets the stage for a month of reflection, prayer and community solidarity for millions across Nigeria. The National Assembly of Nigeria has approved 1.50 trillion allocation for the Nigerian Army in the 2026 fiscal year, reinforcing legislative commitment to strengthening national security architecture. The approved budget is expected to cover personnel costs, operational logistics, equipment procurement training, and modernization of military infrastructure. Lawmakers say the allocation reflects the country's ongoing security challenges, particularly in the northeast, northwest, and parts of the Middle Belt, where armed insurgency, banditry, and communal clashes persist. During deliberations, members of the Assembly emphasized the need for improved accountability and transparency in defense spending, noting that increased funding must translate into measurable improvements in security outcomes. Some legislatures also called for enhanced oversight mechanisms to ensure that appropriated funds are effectively deployed. Security analysts described the approval as one of the most significant defense allocations in recent years, signaling the federal government's prioritization of military capacity building in 2026. Meanwhile, reports also indicate renewed momentum in infrastructure expansion and economic diversification efforts across key sectors. Interagency collaborations between federal ministries and development agencies are reportedly focusing on improving Nigeria's investment climate through regulatory reforms, labor policy adjustments, and public-private partnership frameworks. Officials say current reform efforts are designed to improve ease of doing business, strengthen domestic production capacity, attract foreign direct investment, create sustainable employment opportunities. Economic observers note that while security remains a dominant priority, diversification away from oil dependency continues to shape fiscal and deployment planning. Together, this development reflects a dual-track national strategy, reinforcing security while advancing structural economic reform. In football, Nigerian representatives in continental tournaments delivered impressive performances this week. Clubs competing in CAF competitions secured vital wins, strengthening Nigeria's position in African club football rankings. Sports analysts say consistent continental success is boosting player market value, youth talent exposure, Nigeria's football diplomacy. More fixtures are scheduled later this week as clubs aim to secure qualification to the next stages. Also, the Nigerian national football team have intensified preparations ahead of upcoming international matches. The coaching crew is reportedly assessing both home-based and foreign-based players, with emphasis on tactical discipline and squad depth. Fans are hopeful that renewed focus on strategic rebuilding will restore Nigeria's dominance on the continental stage. On the entertainment scene, Nollywood expands global streaming footprint. Nigeria's film industry continues its international growth trajectory. Leading Nollywood producers are finalizing new distribution agreements with major global streaming platforms, expanding African storytelling beyond traditional markets. Industry insiders say 2026 could be a defining year for higher budget productions, international co-productions, cross-border creative collaborations. The global appetite for African narratives remains strong, positioning Nollywood as a major cultural export. Weather outlook. Across Nigeria tomorrow, northern regions mostly sunny with dry conditions. Central belt, warm temperatures with moderate humidity. Southern states, partly cloudy with chances of slight showers in coastal areas. Residents are advised to stay hydrated and monitor local forecasts. That concludes today's edition of the Papyrus Global TV Nigerian News Update. Tonight we covered strengthened international security cooperation, inflation moderation and economic signals, legislative backing for defense priorities, electoral reform debates, sports victories, and entertainment expansion. I am Christiana Babayo. Thank you for watching the Papyrus Global TV, where leadership, policy, and continental development meet. Good night and stay informed.